same people who colonized you.
So if we keep down, if we continue to do what we're doing, then what ultimately you think is going to happen?
Extinction. Because you're no good no more. Now they have other workers coming over here to take your place. Mexico was one. You're getting the cheap labor from Mexico, but the cheap labor that you're about to get from China is gonna make the Mexico labor look cheap, make the Mexico labor look expensive because you're not needed no more. You're not populating like you once should, like you once did. We don't even really like kids no more. Really, we don't have them. You have a huge culture of homosexualism in the black community, lesbianism. Those that group of people don't create children, and that area is growing. You have few sets of our population that don't like kids, so we're dying out.
What is the solution at this point to help us get out of this situation, or is there a solution?
I think a lot of us are gonna die out because it's been going on too long. We have been stuck on stupid for way too long, and it's like we're comfortable with it. And if you let people know this happened, if you let people know that this is what's happening, they're kind of resigned to the fact. Many don't care. If you talk to many African Americans, they really don't care what's happening. As long as they get their check, they're fine. So the solution, I think, is gonna have to be, a lot of us are gonna. It was kind of like the Jim Jones thing in Guyana a few years ago. Remember that? About 1,000 Negroes followed this white boy down to South America, and they end up drinking Kool-Aid. If you notice, when that happened, the African American community never really made a big stink about that. So now you're going to have that happen on a mass level, and you see it's happening now with the abortions, with all the surgeries we're getting to try to make ourselves look better. We're trying to fit in so bad that we're killing ourselves off, and we don't even recognize it. So the solution, I mean, it's always been education. But I think we're going to have to change that word, because education, we got all the education in the world, and we are some of the non-thinkingest, we're the most non-thinkingest nation of people in the world. We don't think about what's best for us. We think about what's best for others. And that's going to have to stop. We're going to have to educate our children, ourselves. I mean, how come whatever education, whatever we want education to be, that's what it should be.
So,
Whatever,
well, what about we voted Barack Obama in, and so aren't we going down the right path?
did Barack Obama mama go through what your mama went through? Did Barack Obama's father, does he have the same background as your father's here? No, he's a foreigner. And we always want foreigners to rule our lives. That's a question that has to be asked. Why do we mind that? How come we don't care if other people come in from other places to run our lives? Why are we so comfortable with that?
Give us an idea of what we're doing wrong, then what are the actual solutions that we can take and give to our next generation of kids so that they won't do the same?
You're going to have to connect them back to the land. We're landless people. We're not connected to anything. We call ourselves Africans, but you see when Africans come over here, they don't jump into bed with you. I mean, they jump into bed with your women and make babies here so they can lock themselves in, but they normally go hang out with the people who sponsored them to be over here. So you have to connect us back to the land because we feel like we have no part in anything. And if you go over to Africa, Africa's not giving you nothing. Africa doesn't claim you. So the first thing we're going to have to do is claim the land back. Claim your status. Who are you? And you're the indigenous American. We're the indigenous Americans. But we call ourselves all these names: Christians, Muslims, Buddhists. We call ourselves all these names, and everybody else is calling themselves you. So they came over here and taken your land and giving you some pipe dream down the road somewhere, and that's what we're following now.
The term Africa, where does that come from,
You know what? That's a good question. And one of the things we always call ourselves and claim something, we never know what the hell we talking about. We just call ourselves stuff just because we think it's popular. Check out where the name Africa comes from.
The Roman province of Africa was established after the Romans defeated Carthage in the Third Punic War. It roughly comprised the territory of present-day Tunisia, northeastern Algeria, and the Mediterranean coast of modern-day western Libya along the Syrtis Minor. The Arabs later named roughly the same region as the original province, Ifriqiya, a rendering of Africa. The origin of the term Africa is not a name indigenous people picked for themselves. It's a term given by the Judeo-Christian, Nazi German arm of the Roman Catholic Church after they conquered those lands. But how did they come upon the term Africa? The land was named after the Roman general who defeated Hannibal in that Third Punic War, Publius Cornelius Scipio Africanus. So the people who call themselves Africans are letting you know this is their origin, and this is who they pledge their allegiance to, the general god Africanus. If you look around America, you'll notice most of the counties, rivers, mountains, and lakes were named in the very same fashion. Europeans coming over, destroying your accomplishments, and renaming them after themselves. The two most popular names, Washington and Jefferson.
So the ones that are calling themselves African Americans, they're calling themselves conquered people of the Roman general Africanus. It's a name that we didn't even come up with. Now these are important terms that we have to understand. We just can't keep calling ourselves these names and terms, and other people know what they mean, but we don't know what they mean. And so when we call ourselves that, we're putting ourselves at risk because we're letting other people know we're coming under this name. And when we call ourselves that, they take advantage of it.
The word black. What do you mean by the? What's your definition? What do you mean by black?
Again, you have to look these terms up and look at the origin of these terms. The word black just basically means blotted out, bleached out. And when we call ourselves Black Americans, we're, in essence, what we're saying is we're blocked out Americans. And we're calling ourselves that. And this is the reason why the education is so pertinent. When you let other people educate you, they're going to educate your children to serve them. And this is what we didn't get during the Civil Rights Movement. We thought the Civil Rights, we were trying to be equal with people. And you're never going to be equal with them. You have to compete against them. And at this time and space in history now, we don't want to compete with nobody. We just want to get along with everybody. And you see what's happening to our communities.
So you're saying we have to change our whole educational system for our people in order for them to get on the right track? I mean, what are you trying to say?
The education system in America is garbage. If you don't know that by now, you're dumb. The education system in America is garbage. Anybody who has a brain knows that.
Well, bottom line is, there's people that are mixed with different races, black and white, and where do these people stand on the fence? You know, how do they define who they are as an American?
They find their bloodlines. Most of them aren't Americans. Most of them are coming from somewhere else. Most of what we do is we like to claim white heritage from some white man somewhere. If you just looked about a year ago, Muhammad Ali went over to look for his Irish roots. Amari Stoudemire, the basketball player, went over to Israel to look for his Jewish roots. Are you serious? Now these entertainers and athletes, they're the ones who got most of us thinking like this, because whatever they do, since white folks love them, we're going to follow what they do. And many of them are twisted.
So you're saying Michael Jackson is not the greatest entertainer of all time?
He may be the baddest entertainer, but you see what he did to himself. He basically killed himself. Yeah, I know he was murdered. Of course, he was murdered. But he put himself in a position to be put to sleep and woken up. What kind of shit is that? And look at what he did to himself. And you remember with Michael Jackson and the Jackson 5 when you were a little boy. The girls loved them. All the boys wanted to be them. The brothers. It was 5 brothers, 5, 6 brothers, and they were a group, and they made one badass sound. And this dude grew up and turned himself into, I don't know what that was, but it was horrible. It has to be one of the saddest stories ever in American history.
So what do you have to say to the people in Africa who are watching this video and are questioning you on who are you and what would you have to say to those people in that country?
Many of them probably already know, because many of those people that come from Africa, what we call Africa, they don't call themselves African. They call themselves the bloodline of where they from. They call themselves where they from and who are they, their bloodlines. Like they'll call themselves Ghanaian. No, you can let it roll. They call themselves Ghanaians. They call themselves Nigerians, Kenyans. They call themselves their names. They call themselves their bloodline names. Many of them don't call themselves African because many people know what that term means. It's just that the African American doesn't know that. The African American doesn't know what that term means. So the term African means conquered people. When we call ourselves African Americans, basically we're saying we're conquered Americans. If you're telling the world that you're conquered Americans, they're going to treat you like what? Conquered people. And that's what we're seeing now. Laws and none of that civil rights movement have came to pass. Yeah, you can go. The only people say, I can go wherever I want to go now. They know they can't. It's like you saying, come to this park. Your mother was saying, we coming to this park. They don't want us down there. What? They're the foreigners. They're from England, Ireland, Scottish, France, and they come over here and make you feel like you don't belong here. And that's exactly where we are now.
So what do you have to say to all the Europeans that probably won't agree with what you're saying?
They won't agree, but they know. They're living comfortable over here. They know. They listen to what they say when they talk about America. They weren't living like this in England. They came over here and found a gold mine. Your gold mine took it from you, and they still enjoying it. And they ain't giving you nothing, because you don't claim it. You claim in Africa, you claim in all kind of crap that isn't you. So when you claim that, and other people are coming to claim your stuff, and they're getting it. And you let them know it's okay by calling yourself an African.
Is there any way that we can reverse this systematic process of doom?
Yeah, connect back to the land. Once you get back on the land, the magic, you're gonna work the magic. You just cut off from the land. You in these cities, you in these schools, you don't know, you're cut off from nature. You know nothing about nature. Not every single one, I'm not saying that. But the vast majority of our people that's living in these cities are artificial constructs, and they were made to make the European money. They're not made to make you money. That's why you don't make none. Most black businesses, their own people don't support them. This is reality. So the European already knows what's up. He's over here living large, and he's want to continue to live large. And the way he's going to continue to live large is that you're stupid about who you are. And they've done very well in keeping that going. Hurricane Katrina should have reminded the African American his status in the Republic. It didn't. The Gulf oil spill is a continuation of Hurricane Katrina to displace the indigenous people of the South yet again.